Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's time for Let's Humanize the Workplace. Maybe it's better to show my face. So, hi, my name is Vivian, Acquah, the Workplace Wellness Advocate, and I'm also the live producer of Let's Humanize the Workplace, a broadcast where I and my guests inspire employees and employers to do better and to make the workplace more humanized. And today it's a very exciting day. Well, a very exciting day. I mean, this is my 5th week of being at home, staying at home, and I am staying at home from the Netherlands, which has been challenging. Most of you know that I'm also a mother and I have a partner, and we have been staying in for about 5 weeks. And it has been a challenging road, and I'm trying to keep the mindful route by doing things mindfully, even though sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't. I also have to be honest about that, but I am doing my best. And what gives me energy is doing these interviews and also inspiring everybody along the way. Am I going to talk about COVID? I might, but there is so much news out there that I try to have a normal conversation. And I'm not that I am forgetting about COVID, but there is a lot more going on besides COVID. So that's why I chose to continue with this podcast. So if you're watching, just say hi. Know that I'm going to do a shout out. And also, if you're watching, just let me know if you can see the LinkedIn. I'm going to check. I see a few people watching. Just say hi, because I don't bite. I only do a few shout outs and include you in the conversation. And if you have any questions or anything to share during this broadcast, just let me know so that I can include you in the conversation. And sharing is caring. I also want to say something about this because lately I've been seeing something that worries me. And a lot of people are thinking that the way that we used to have meetings can be transferred into all these back-to-back video calling, etc., etc. But note that there is such a thing as Zoom fatigue, that people are really tired of watching the screens for about 2 hours. And that's why I want to put some emphasis on the managers, those who are planning the meetings, co-workers, team members. Please be mindful of your team, and please know that there are other ways to engage with your team via internal podcasting, or try to minimize the meeting length. So don't kidnap your team member for about 2 hours. If you can put the content or say what you want to say within maybe 45 minutes, and if you must hold a Zoom meeting, or if you must hold a video call conference, maybe try to just talking, right? So you don't have to see each other all the time, because seeing each other and talking at the same time can be very, can remove a lot of energy from that person. Maybe I'm not saying the right word because it's almost the end of the day here in the Netherlands, and I've been dealing with teaching, with working in between time. So pardon me for blurring up my words. I'm trying to make things work here, but know that I don't want to hear no more stories about people kidnapping their colleagues or managers kidnapping their team members just to have a conversation for the conversation for the conversation for the conversation. Stop it now, please. So like this, like my image is saying there. I don't know where to point, like this one there. I don't know. I had it up to here. That's all I want to say. I had it up to here. So please stop. Please stop the Zoom fatigue. I also want to end this part with a positive message. I have been secretly sharing a video with me smiling, and that's only because I want to pass on the positive vibes. I want to pass on the good stuff. So join me in this smile challenge. if you just record yourself with a positive message and ask the person that you are video or sending it to join you in this challenge, so that they can share their smile. Because I feel like this period we need to lift up our spirits, we need to smile more, and we need to send in more positive vibes, because the world needs us and the world needs your smile. So that's why I'm sharing this, and also share that with a colleague or a family member or a friend. You never know who you might be helping during this time. I know a lot of people are dealing with loneliness, and this is a positive way to do that. I've been getting so many positive reactions just of me. This was just a spontaneous action of me doing something good for people, and the feedback that I got was I got even emotional out of it. So you never know who you might touch, and you never know who you uplift in their day, or you might be uplifting somebody's day. So please join me in this conversation and just share a smile. A smile isn't hurting. A smile is only lifting up your spirits and the spirits of your colleague or your family member or a friend. So join me, smile. So now I'm going to bring up my guest, Mila DeChant.
Hello, everyone.
Mila is a keynote speaker, a culture scientist, and a visionary who partners with leaders, businesses, universities, and communities to drive change, enablement, and encourage in the way we lead and cultivate human equity through acceptance, a missing component in diversity. I'm going to talk more about that soon, but now it's time to activate heart in culture. Welcome, Mila, to this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and having me on your show and sharing this space with you to have a really one-to-one dialogue with you.
Yes, thank you as well. A lot of people may suspect that you are from England, but where are you streaming from? What's happening in your space?
So I am streaming from Washington, D.C. area. So I live about 30 to 40 minutes outside of D.C., a little town called Reston, Virginia. And around this area, we have been on a lockdown, not a strict lockdown, but a lockdown as to like quarantine. It's interesting. I live across Trader Joe's, which is just 5 minutes walk from here, and they found someone infected in the supermarket on April 6th. And I was in that supermarket on April 6th, and
Wow.
I was wearing my mask and my gloves. I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. It's April 14th, but it's, it's so
scary.
Yeah, it's really scary. You never know who this virus is going to affect, and virus doesn't see race, language, age, your religious beliefs.
It doesn't discriminate at all. Yeah.
If it feels like, all right, I'm going to come near you, it comes. So that's what is happening. A lot of people, I think, are undergoing stress, anxiety because of the quarantine. I hear my neighbors fight quite a lot, and it's just having that empathy and kindness, right? Because when you're isolated, when I say isolated, not like on a deserted island, but isolated from where your privilege is taken away from interacting on a daily basis, going to the coffee shop or tea shop to get your tea. All you do is watch Netflix and be at home and see your spouse or your family. It drives you nuts. So that puts people in this perpetual cycle of, oh my God, I need a break, but I can't take a break. So that's what is happening.
I can totally agree with you, and also know that a lot of people aren't used to being alone. A lot of people are not used to working from home, and a lot of people aren't, don't have maybe a loving home or a loving spouse, or maybe a child is not in a loving home. So my heart and my support goes out to those who are having a difficult time at home, because this lockdown, my complaints or the challenges that I am facing is nothing comparing to your lockdown. So my heart really goes out to you.
Yeah, that's so true. Even people who are single, right? It's like, and who live alone, they do not have any access to a hug.
Yeah.
Or even,
and we need that. We need that. Yeah, we need that. I mean, I spoke recently to a couple of single friends of mine, and they were really going to a challenging time because they had their outings, they had their dinner dates, they had their coffee dates, and now it's all gone. And now they're trying. I mean, here in the Netherlands, we are allowed to move, but they encourage us to stay inside as much as we can. But during the warm weather, some people find it challenging to stay inside, and especially when it's group. It's weird that a few years ago or 10 years ago, I used to work in London where it's very crowded, overcrowded in the tube. And now when I see a crowd, I get scared. I am just like, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be there. Right? Yeah.
And it's invisible, right?
Yeah.
It's not like something that you can see. It's not like a tiger or a lion that you can see and run for your life.
Have you watched something that you're referring to?
What's it called? Tiger King?
Yes. I haven't seen it, but I've seen the sensation everywhere. So getting back to this topic, what is your connection with humanizing the workplace?
Oh, yeah. So I underwent such a tough journey, right? And the journey was, I used to work for a Fortune 500 company, and it was based out of Seattle, headquartered out of Seattle. And I was like, oh, it's my dream job. I want to work for this company. And then when I started my journey, the first 6 months was fantastic. It was a great team. And then when I moved teams, that's when hell broke. And I think this is what hell is. And I started experiencing where my voice was constantly oppressed. My ideas were constantly neglected, right? And all I was told was I'm not good enough. I was not worthy. I was not doing a great job, regardless of whatever I did, right? The narrative was always, you're a foreigner, you don't understand. And it caused a lot of dissonance within myself, because I was like, the person, my supervisor, was a foreigner herself. But I felt that, she was using her privilege, and she was a Caucasian female. And, even though you're a foreigner, that's a privilege, even among foreigners. And I felt like this is not the place I want to be in. But that kind of narrative, that kind of bullying kept on happening. And my confidence was absolutely depleted. Depleted from 100 to like about 60%. That was the exact time when my dad passed away. And I felt that I was unheard, right? I was told by my supervisor, oh, take a break. And I was like, okay, if I take a break, what will it look like if I came back? And she told me, if you came back, you will not be in this team anymore. Wow. So I felt that was form of microaggression. And then she did find someone to replace me, because I was like, you know what, I'm going to push myself. I'm going to do all these projects. And I think it was, the identifier was that I was outshining her, and she didn't like it. So she used the excuse of, I lost my dad, I was not in the right mindset, I was not performing, and used it against me. And I was like, no, I am performing, but you're asking me to do dehumanizing work. And it's not possible. It's so ludicrous to sit in front of a computer for 8 to 10 hours and do data entry. I was a global project manager. How do you expect me to do this? This is not even a project. And when I started speaking about, automation, she was not willing to buy it. And that was just such viscous dissonance, right? And I was like, okay, my only way out is to move to a different team. And when I moved to a different team, the abuse was 100 times worse than the previous team.
Was it from the same team, from the same manager?
It was a different manager, because when I moved teams, we normally get different set of managers. So it was 3 managers that I had reported under, and no matter what I did was not good enough. And I was like, okay, I want to learn what is going on. So I approached my HR department, and I spoke with my HR partners, and they were like, oh, I know your managers, they're not like that. The problem is with you. So I asked my HR partners, how can I improve? Because this is what I'm doing. This is the response I'm getting. And when I pivot, this is what I'm getting. There are, oh, here are all the links, go figure it out. So I was not getting this support, right? So I was trying to figure out what was going on. And then I was like doing projects again. I was outshining. And my intention was not to outshine. My intention was to solve the problems which was happening in the team. And that was the reason why I was brought in as a global program manager to the team. So I identified a lot of problems, and my manager was like, this is not a problem, this is not a problem. And I had data to back it up. And quickly it became such a toxic environment where I had the same narrative as to, you're a foreigner, you can't speak English, you're not capable of presenting. My job description started changing quite a bit from a global program manager to a data entry person. It really dehumanized me in every asset. Work was dumped on me every time I asked questions, or I pushed back or challenged my manager as to like, why is this so? And I would get yelled at every single day. I even got yelled at. It's like, why are you challenging me? Stop asking me questions. Stop speaking back to me.
But you still stayed there for a while, right?
Right, for 2.5 years. And it's interesting because it's like, to a point, that was my paycheck, right? That was my paycheck. I was supporting my paralyzed mum. No one knew that I was supporting my paralyzed mum, who lives in a foreign country, not in the United States. And I was like, oh, if I lost this job, I would not be able to support her. And I didn't want to lose that paycheck. So I kept on like going forward. And I ignored a lot of signs as to depression, anxiety. I would wake up at 2 a.m. having panic attacks, and I'd cry. I would just burst out crying. Even sitting at the dinner table or lunch table, I thought about, how could I kill myself in various ways? And, the lies told to me became my reality. And in 2018, I really believed that I was not worthy. I was a stupid foreigner who couldn't speak English, who was dumb. I really believed all the lies told by my managers. And I actually stood on top of a building in 2018, ready to commit suicide. I was ready to jump. And at that moment, I heard a voice. No one was around me. I heard a voice saying stop. And at that same time, I received a text message from my sister. My sister didn't know what was going on. And she said, is everything okay? I had a feeling. And that was a defining moment for me to like step back and really think about, I am worthy. The Mila before all this experience was just a fantastic Mila, who globally did research, who embarked on so many projects, who launched so many successful projects. Even for the company that I was with, even for the team, I saved $500,000 for my team, and that was not looked as success, And I walked away from that corporate tenure. I walked away without knowing where my next paycheck was going to come about.
You had to save yourself, right? You had to save your sanity, and I can relate to some part of what you're saying, because I have dealt my portion. I have had my portion of dealing with toxic environment, but also dealing with toxic people where they discredit you to a point that you start doubting who you are and what your powers are. Even up till recently, I removed myself from that situation because I felt like my life, me becoming a happy mother, I did not do this to become unhappy and to show my son that this is the way out. So I did what you shared, right? I went to HR, I went to my manager, I went to so many people, and then I realized that I had to stop doing that because they were listening and they were doing the best that they could, but it was out of their control, where I felt like I was being, in a way, it felt like they failed on me, but then again, I knew that they did their best. But still, I knew I had to withdraw myself and I had to seek out something else, because I am not one of those persons where I am working to live, or I'm living to work. I'm working to live, not living to work. And I'm working towards my happiness, not my unhappiness.
Right. Right. And that's such an important key, right? We need to value our own happiness. And it's so easy. It's so easy when we are in the midst of abuse.
Yeah.
We don't realize that it's happening to us. We always think that, okay, I need to improve. I need to improve. That's the narrative which has been set in the workplaces for years, for decades, right? Because it came from... Go ahead.
Yes, I think also this period with Corona, something that somebody shared with me this afternoon, there are a lot of people are losing their jobs, and there are a lot of people reevaluating, am I happy? Is this, the job that I need to be, where I need to be? And I think that this is the best time to do that. This is the best time to reinvent yourself. And if you have lost your job, I am so sorry, but know that you are not your job. You can do so much better. And there are so many online courses where you can level up your skills so that you can become the best person that you deserve to be. And that somebody else is not valuing you, that's their loss.
Right. You just highlighted a very important point, Vivian, you mentioned about you're not a job. And that's so important because someone's identity, we are so taught how to form our identity, even in schools, right? Your identity is, which school did you go to? Do you have a bachelor's degree? Right? What kind of job do you do? Those are the adopted, socialized adoption of what identity is supposed to be. But our true identities are, what kind of person are we? Right? Do we care for each other? Do I enable you in such a way that you become the best version of yourself, even if you shine brighter than me? Right? So that's what
is it about shining brighter? Because once you shine, that as a manager, it will also help me and my team shine, and we encourage each other instead of looking at each other like jealous or being jealous. Why not encourage each other to, everybody shine bright like a diamond. I have a small diamond here, or a plastic diamond that I hold on to. Somebody dear gave it to me, and once in a while when I am in my when I'm in my little rut, I look at it and see that sometimes a diamond needs to be sharpened to be perfect. And that's the same thing as a team. Why not look at your team as a diamond that needs to be sharpened instead of being jealous?
And every diamond, the molecules of the makeup is so different, right? It might look all the same, but the composition is so different, and that's the beauty. Like, both of us are female, but we look uniquely different. We sound uniquely different. Our minds are different. It's like you can't.
But we are aligned when it comes to humanizing.
Right. Yes.
So regarding to the next question, why are you helping companies to lead with their hearts? Please tell me what is in it for them.
Right, absolutely. So, I was motivated to find my company culture signs based on my own personal experience, right? And when I started speaking more about what I had experienced, how my identity, how my confidence was all corroded, how I was demonized, more people started coming forward and saying, hey, I have suffered depression, anxiety. I even thought about suicide. So I started digging deeper into, how it truly really impacts people or company at a very granular level, right? When you treat people like just garbage or rubbish, they're going to leave. You are actually responsible for their well-being. And
sorry to interrupt you. They are not only going to leave. We are dealing with people who are tech savvy, social media savvy, and they are going to brand, they are going to blog, they are going to do something about it to make this publicly known. So know that you're not getting away with just mistreat. Even, this, we were talking before this episode, we were talking about people being dumped on Zoom, being fired on Zoom. It came out.
I think that's such a dehumanizing, that's such a cruel, cowardly action to do, right? It's like, just because whatever the reasons that might be, if you're out of business or if you pay someone, rethink how you're going to really value your people. Think about from an extended lens. What if they miss a paycheck? They're going to, are you displacing them from society? Right? how are they going to be displaced? No paycheck, no money to pay rent, no money to buy food, no money for healthcare, no money to support all the invisible. We're not looking at the invisible. Just stop looking at people as commodities. We really need to understand.
And know also that what you do now might be hurting you. I truly believe in karma. So what you do now and the way you treat people now, if you don't, karma will bite you in the ass during this process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there are so many leaders. I absolutely love Dan Price, who's the CEO of Gravity. And he is not laying off people, but instead, he had a conversation with his whole company, and people decided to take a pay cut. Right? But still have a pay cut, have the basic income to sustain in some form or way, as opposed to, just firing people. I think that's just such a cruel and cowardly thing to do. But you're not really valuing your people from a very, very core level, which is from the heart, right? We need to start understanding and really valuing people as people with a beating heart, as opposed to just commodities. And we really need to understand people are spending 70 to 80% of their awake hours at work, preparing for work, getting to work. It becomes a perpetual cycle. And when they are dedicating such a hefty timeline for work, and they're only given 2 days to go meditate, exercise, be creative, go family, relax, run errands, learn a new skill. How many things are they supposed to do within a span of, let's say, 12 hours a day, right? 24 hours. Within 1 day, you expect them to do all of this. But 5 days, people are expected to be at your company, like slaving away, doing work for you when they are not recognized, right? So I think it's really important to really.
I think also this period will make a shift in the companies who are really treating their people humanly. I mean, I even saw a post recently where somebody shared a good thing to ask during an interview towards a recruiter or your manager is, how did you play a part in the corona? How did you treat your people? Did you fire them, or did you provide some extra help so that they will sustain? Because that's also something that can become attractive as for an employee to work for your company, right?
Right. No, absolutely. And during times of crisis, right, that's when you see how people think and treat other people. I think that's so important.
That's definitely important.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's like valuing people. Our biggest ROI is not the fiscal returns. Our biggest ROI are people, right? And I was reading an experiment done by IKEA, and it was a British company as well. And they did this experiment where they put two exactly same plants in different glass boxes. One plant was, they played narratives of you're ugly, you're useless, and the plant actually died, kind of like within overhearing it. And the other plant was with positive narrative: you are beautiful, you're contributing, you're valued. You're
words have energy. Words have energy. Words have energy. I mean, it's similar to the rice experiment, where you have one bowl of rice which is getting all the positive feedback. There's one bowl of rice which is being ignored, and there's one bowl of rice within water which is receiving all the bad words, right? And you know what the worst bowl was? Can you guess?
With the worst words?
No. The one who's being ignored.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing now. Right. That's what we're doing now, right? And that's why it's so vital to reach out towards somebody who you haven't reached out before, or maybe in a long time, to just let them know that you care about them, and just have a conversation, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Right. And you're so right. And the experiment actually proves a really key component, ignoring, right? Ignoring is a form of bullying. Ignoring is a form of ostracization and dehumanizing, right? people do this at the workplace, and not just unconscious bias, but conscious discrimination comes into place, right? When we enter a workforce, and then sometimes we gather with people and the narrative is always, oh, we think alike. But is it because you think a lot, or is it because everyone agrees with you and does not have the courage to disagree with you?
Yeah.
And you ignore people who are independent thinkers, independent speakers, independent doers, right? Those are the kind of people who take a company or a group or community, because leadership is just not inherently present at the workplace.
True.
And every modality transfers into workplace, homes, communities, nation, right? And if someone is ignored for their independent thinking, for being unique, for being such an individual, that person can corrode, like ostracization, right? It happens like in organizations. I was ignored in so many ways, and getting ignored.
I think it's also what I forgot to share about your story, that I hope that those who hurted you, or those who know who hurted you, are watching, because I would dislike myself if I had played just a small part, or a little part, or not even a part in stopping it. Knowing that something like this is happening and you're not preventing that from happening. I mean, you can end up going depressed. You can end up, being not there anymore, or you can end up hurting other people in the way, in the long run. And we have to do something about workplace bullying. We have to do something about toxic environment, and we have to do something about unconscious bias, because sometimes people are, I find it hard to say, but are unaware of how hurtful their actions and their words can be.
That's very true. And I wanted to touch on something that you highlighted, being silent. When you are silent when someone else is getting bullied or getting mistreated, I look at that as being...
You're playing a part.
Yeah. It's like, will you do the same thing if you are in a scene where someone else is getting kidnapped, or someone else is getting raped or murdered? What will you do to prevent that? Right? I mean, those three examples are really bad. It's such a bad experience, but look at that as the invisible, someone else getting bullied, someone else saying, oh, you're not important. Like, even words like, you're a foreigner, what do you know? Like very micro aggression. Those are form of ignoring and ostracization that happens at the workplace. Even when you're sitting in a meeting, and when your manager says, specifically picks out on a female or a minority person and says, Mila, you take notes today. And then when you question, like, why am I supposed to take notes? I want to be engaged. This is a meeting. Like, don't be afraid to challenge. Don't be afraid to speak up just because someone is telling you to take notes. Like, voice up and say, hey, we have so many tools to take notes. I'm going to record this. Let's take take notes and transcribe it. We have all the tools. I want to be engaged, right? So challenge those people who say, take notes. And when it becomes a cycle, a repeated cycle.
That's a good point.
Have a conversation, because sometimes we don't.
Go on strike. Go on strike. I'm not noting anymore. Or maybe put your arm in a mitella, saying that your arm hurts, or some things that you cannot fight anymore.
But these are like micro forms of actions and aggressions where, we want to humanize the workplace, but we need to start humanizing. How can we include other people into a space? Let it be in meetings, let it be in conversations. Don't just say, oh, you do not know. Don't invite everyone, even if a person is an intern, even if a person is not ready yet. I love it. Awesome. Awesome. Like, really, because when we have a diverse group of people in our circle, it challenges ourselves, it challenges our own beliefs, our own stereotypical beliefs. Like we can't say, oh, I know everything, I went to school, but someone else might see the same topic from a different perspective. So it's so important to include.
I want to include 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗁. I hope that I'm pronouncing your name right. She's saying, or I think she's saying, great topic, ladies. My view is that most companies has not made that cultural change needed within the organization to create that platform where our employees are not only seen as an employee code, but are actual human beings. I agree to you in some points. There are companies out there, I know that there are sparesome, but there are companies out there that are really making the effort. But we have a long way to go to make that happen as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a culture shift, right? The whole paradigm shift happens not just by the leaders, by everyone. If you see something, say something.
Yeah, true.
Right? Don't be afraid to stand up for someone else. Don't be afraid to challenge status quo. And that's how, when we encourage status quo, when we enable status quo, it becomes a dominant culture, a very singular culture with a very singular voice. So culture shift happens when everyone plays a part in challenging the status quo, and especially leaders. When you are a leader of an organization, you need to consciously challenge your own biases or discrimination, and even challenge yourself. Why is this making me uncomfortable? Why am I getting angry when someone else is reporting this? Why am I getting angry when I'm being called up for my own BS? We need to start challenging ourselves, and because if we don't challenge ourselves, there will not be a culture shift. We will not become effective leaders.
Yeah, and also try to create, psychological safe environments where people can speak up without hurting each other, right? Because the last thing that I want is you to give such a feedback where it seems like you're making a remake of Texas Chain Massacre.
Yeah,
that's not what I want. That's not what I want. Right. So there's another comment made by 𝗵𝗺 and she's saying, I don't think it's microaggression. I think it's violence because it's psychological violence. People hide behind the fact that it's hard to prove. I agree. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, very, very brilliant point, isn't it? It is violence. It's violence. And it's so right. You can't prove it. And that was the exact situation that I was in. Where, my 3 managers would create all this situation and I could not prove it. When HR, when I went to HR was like, can you prove it? I was like,
can you prove it? Did they provide a body cam for you to prove it?
I was will you go ask someone who's getting murdered, or can you prove it? Until months of investigation.
True.
Right?
True,
it's like
true.
Yeah, no, I agree with it.
I saw something on Twitter and which was very insightful. What is the missing piece to belonging, inclusion, and diversity in the workplace, and why?
Oh, absolutely. Last year I took a 3-month research trip, researching about diversity, and because we often speak about diversity, especially in the United States, we speak about diversity as in, we include everyone.
Here in the Netherlands as well, and I think elsewhere as well. Yeah.
So in the conversation of, we do not discriminate, we include everyone with age, gender, disability, and whatnot. But and as I was going into companies and speaking with more people, more organizations, and researching, the biggest piece, people talk about diversity and they say that's inclusion, but how are you including people, right? What kind of inclusion efforts are you doing? Every talk or majority of the talks or panelists that you see is a very singular voice.
True.
Or we empower women, like Forbes magazine, different platforms, different media, different efforts. What kind of women have dominant voices? Where's the diversity of that? Where's the inclusion of that? And I spoke with some people, and when I started submitting my applications and I started speaking with different POCs and different people, right? And I said, what's the common thing that you were told? Lack of followers. I'm not prominent. I don't have a speaker profile. I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm not the CEO of a company. Inclusion is eliminated. So you're not practicing inclusion in organizations.
True.
And then when they say belonging, how are you creating a space of belonging? Are you creating a space of belonging from your singular lens of expectation? Do you expect people to belong the way that you want them to belong, according to how you want them to show up, the way that you want them to
preach, preach,
them, think the way that you want them to?
Yes, yes.
That's not belonging.
Yes,
the
yes.
major key component from my research that I interviewed people from all over the world is acceptance. Acceptance is the missing component. How many times do we, in organizations, in workplaces, in communities, in family gatherings, do we accept someone the way they show up at the stage that they are in? Right? Even in interviews, we want someone to belong according to how we expect them to. Do you have 15 years of experience? Do you have, an MBA? Are you capable to be in my company?
They are always looking for the top 5, especially when it comes to women.
Right.
If they have a list of 10 skills that you're supposed to own, I mean, men, they can fake up, if they have 2 skills and they can fake up to 5, then it's fine. But to women, there is this invisible list that we hold ourselves onto, but also other people hold ourselves onto, like, okay, you don't fill the list from 1 to 10, you're not going to be that person. And I'm like, okay, why is it that we have this fixed mindset? Why is it that you're not being able to see the potential in somebody who can maybe go beyond that list? Why not be creative? Why not go think outside the box, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole point of diversity, right? If we are not willing to embrace acceptance under the umbrella of diversity, then we can never, ever have belonging. We can never have inclusion and diversity, because the major component is like a pyramid. You need the base of acceptance. How are we going to accept them from their lens, and how are they going to accept us from my lens and their lens, right? Because, like, think about when you were a child. Think about the time you were a child. You went out in the playground. You were yourself. You were so creative, and everyone wanted to play with you, right? And even in schools, when you created something, everyone was like, hey, let's play together. Until you were socialized to think that, okay, you shouldn't be mixing around with that child.
True.
Everything was socialized and introduced. It's a social concept of segregation. It's a socialized concept of race. And that's when negative words started coming into, don't be his friend because he is this. Don't be her friend because she can't read. So, I mean, and now we're adults. As adults, we should have proper thinking, right? And if we are, if we are not evolved in such a way that, then you can throw diversity out, because acceptance is just not saying, hey, I see you how you are. I want you to come build together with me. It's not that I will accept you. It's I want you. I'm inviting you. Come build with me together. We do not know how we are going to build, but we'll build together with your unique skills, with all the unique skills that is existing in our organization or in our group. We will grow together.
Yes, which is also an excellent hook for the next question. That is, can you share 3 tips on how companies can lead with their hearts during this period?
Yeah, so during a time of crisis, I was looking at crisis from a 3-pronged perspective, right? It's like, is the crisis a global crisis, like what we are undergoing, a pandemic? Is the crisis within a business, right? Like a merger or an accident, whatever goes on, then we need to put a PR stunt in front. And then we really need to approach it crisis with team members who undergo personal crisis. So we need to really understand what kind of crisis are we approaching it, or are we acknowledging it, right? So I would always say that listen with your eyes, ears, minds, and hearts. don't just listen, be on the phone and say, oh yeah, I'm listening. No, truly listen with your eyes, mind and heart, by understanding how it is going to impact your people, and really embrace empathy. Empathy is not like a script that you take from drama and then you read and then you act it out. No. Empathy, truly learn what empathy is, truly cultivate your empathy. Some people don't have empathy, some people are not born with it, but you can always learn. When I say learn, genuinely listen.
It makes me understand why some people lack empathy, because it's not there from the beginning anyway. Sorry, this is just a side note.
So yeah, empathy is the biggest thing. Like, don't just like read a script and like, oh yeah, I understand. No, then you're not being a genuine leader. You're not being a genuine person. Empathy needs to come from within, like truly understand them, not just the problem that they are undergoing or the crisis that they are experiencing, but really like hear where they are coming from. Because a person doesn't just show up like, hey, I'm here, let's make some money. But when they fight at home, when someone passes away, like their parent, a loved one, it contributes to how they show up as well. That goes back to the acceptance piece, right? So we really need to understand as to what kind of crisis are we approaching and acknowledging. Is it a global crisis? Is it a crisis within a business? Is it a crisis with our team members on a personal level? And understanding that, and then really deploying empathy, and then finding solutions together that will not dehumanize them. When you find solutions, truly work on the solutions and don't tell people, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to find a solution, and then
do it together. Do it together. Yeah.
And not just like drop them like like a compost or like leftover foods that you're going to throw in the rubbish bin. So I think that's really important. Like, listen critically with your eyes, ears, minds, and hearts, and empathy. Deploy empathy and really find solutions.
It should be mandatory to have empathy as a leadership skill. Otherwise, you can't lead, right?
I don't think that you can lead effectively without empathy, kindness, and love, because like, without love, I'm not asking you to like kiss and hug anyone, but there are different, there are different languages of love, right? Some people, I think everyone should read 5 languages of love, but at the same time, extend your mindset as to what are different languages of love to show kindness, to really value someone else.
True. What is your hope after this crisis? What is your hope that companies will be doing after this?
Well, I really hope, because right now everyone is adopting as to, oh, I really want to care for my people, and then they're trying to find resources, having people work from home. But I want people to understand, and organizations and companies to understand, working from home in this pandemic reveals so many invisible acts that your people are going through. And goes back to my point as, are you really listening with your eyes, ears, minds, and heart? With this pandemic, people working from home not just have a challenge of working from home, right? The kind of resources, but homeschooling their children, trying to juggle work, homeschooling children, trying to dissolve conflicts within their children, making lunch for their children, right? And so many other things. And like house chores, when you have children at home, so many things goes on. So we really need to understand what are the real challenges that are not visible to us when they are in a workplace. Now the workplace privilege is taken away. School care, after school care is taken away. Some people take care of their disabled child, disabled parents. All this is becoming visible right now. So my hope for companies after this crisis is to really think about, what does flexibility mean in the workspace? Right? What kind of resources can I provide my people? What is the normalcy of work from 8 to 5? Why not create flexibility? What other time that you need to work from? wherever that you need to work from. What kind of resources?
And it will save a lot of commuting as well. I mean, some
Right.
people, I've been hearing that some people spend like 3 hours for one trip to go to their work.
Right.
And it will save you, your company will save so much money, but also your employee will save so much stress and so much time, valuable time, which can be spent effectively on something else.
And yeah, absolutely. And challenge the 40-hour work week. So my company...
Do you work 40 hours? I thought in the States it was 40 plus, right?
40 plus hours. And challenge that. When you have automation, why can't you humanize the workflow? Like, get rid of all the mundane data entry, get rid of all of that. So it liberates your people to be more creative and to even find creative ideas to elevate your business. You know, and like my company, I do it in such a way that I don't make my people work 40 hours, like work whatever hours that works for you. Whatever time that works for you. I don't care that you need to report to me. We have a power hour, Mondays and Fridays, 1 hour each. It's very focused. This is the end goal. Do whatever that you need to do to get to the end goal. Let me know what resources I can give you. But you have the entrepreneurial, creative skill. So I give that liberty to people, like, this is what you need to create.
This is the way to go. That's the way to go. That's definitely the way to go. Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for more companies to adopt. Like, look at people from a very humanistic way. It's like they are not commodities. They are not robots.
Okay. Now we're fast forwarding into 2025. What do you hope then? What is your wish for then?
Well, I really hope that people will start adopting right now in order to be that in 2025. Like change your narrative from engagement to productivity to enablement. How are you enabling your people? I want to see more organizations to enable their people from a very core level. Like, look at the Maslow's law. What do they need? Like, what's their core? How can we cultivate that child in them? Just because you're an adult does not mean that you use your child in you, right? What do you want to do? Like, evolve your job descriptions into career perspectives. Don't just put a job with that. Create careers.
That sounds so much better. Yeah.
And career is just not marketing specialist, PR specialist, program manager. Put in such a way that you want to start here, start. But create something to a point where you want to evolve. Why not give people to become entrepreneurs? If people want to their business, enable them in your space. Enable them in your space where they have 100% or 95%, copyright, whatever it is, their business, but 5% equity in you because you're enabling that space. So try to rethink what culture is becoming, rethink what workplace is becoming. Because when you enable your people from the core, from a very creative level, you do not know how far they can go. And that's the mindset that we must adopt as companies and organizations. I love that.
I have 2 comments from Bernie Maya. So Bernie is saying that I don't think, oh no, she already said that. The first thing that she's saying is most women have been brought up to be perfect. The you should do this or that in our own language tells us that. If we don't tick all the boxes, we are not perfect, so we don't belong. No, we are not perfect and we do belong. I know that I'm not perfect and I know that I do belong. So let's all change the narrative. And another comment that she's making is an excellent point. The language of connectedness is so important, and thanks for reminding me of that. Thank you for sharing us that. Yes, definitely. Is there something else that you want to add on the last minute?
No, I like to tell people, like, humanizing the workplace starts with you. Right, starts with everyone, and as leaders, and I want everyone to listen to this. Very important. There's a leader in everyone. You are a leader. There's a leader. Don't let anyone else tell you or define what leadership is. Leadership is in singular. It's so nuanced. It's so diverse. There's situational leaders. You are a leader when you can impact one person. You can one person, you can lift up one person, you are a leader. Don't let a job description, your job title, the lack of followers define whether you're a leader or not. You know, success is not about winning. Success is about progression. It's about helping others. It's about empathy.
And what are you doing for mankind? I think that's more important. Yeah. What are you doing for the next generation? What are you doing to put, you know, to put some money in your social wallet instead of your financial wallet? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I want you to part with. You know, leadership, the now of leadership is hardship. It's hardship. You know, it's the new kind of leading. You lead from the heart. You value people. You show empathy, love, kindness, truly understand them from a very extended lens, and really creating solutions together, and not saying, you know, you're not wanted, you're not worthy. There's a reason why everyone is born. There's a reason why everyone is on this earth. It's not your place to say you're not wanted, you're not worthy, because everyone brings something crucial. So that's the message I want to give people.
I want to thank you for this valuable insight and for this awesome conversation. The time flew. And I also want to let the people who are watching know that she has her own channel. She has her own live interviews, unfortunately not yet on LinkedIn, but you can follow her on Twitter, Mila DeChant, and look her up. And she has a live broadcast on Monday and Friday. And for those of you who are in my time zone, you can watch the replay as well. So follow her on Twitter. If you have Twitter, follow her. If you don't have Twitter, get Twitter and follow her.
Thank you again, Vivian, for inviting me in this very safe space and accepting me for the way I am. I truly value it.
Of course. You're an ally, and I love people who have the humanizing part high. So I'm going to close off, but don't leave. I'm going to close off so that we can say a proper goodbye. And thank you again. So for the next conversation will be with 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗁𝗲. And it will be in Dutch. Upcoming Thursday, it will be in Dutch, 7:45, and it's about effective virtual communication. We are going to talk about the neuroscience and neuromarketing, and also about this Zooming effect or all these video calling effects. So if you're Dutch, please watch this episode. And if you're not Dutch, then you can watch us next week. And that's it for now. If you have nothing to share, my name is Vivian Acquah. I love doing this live broadcast, and I love talking, as you can see. If you have a guest speaker, or if you know somebody else that I should be interviewing, or if you have a topic that you want me to have to do an interview just let me know. Just let me know. I want to include you, or maybe, you know, add yourself in the mix. Maybe you want to become my next guest speaker. Sign up, let me know, so that I know that I can interview you, or know that I can interview somebody else. I am forever grateful for having your attention, and I also want to end on a positive note. Please stay safe, and let's make this social distancing a success so that we can flatten the curve. Thank you, and until next time. Bye.